What's up peeps, Rockskull here. You know, it's been a few weeks since I played DBD for a good amount of time. Let's see what's been going on in the community. Oh. Well, let's talk about something a bit more positive then. Springtrap. As some of you may know, I'm a bit of a Five Nights at Freddy's simp, and when I heard the game I've been playing for about 6 years is gonna collab with FNAF, I think my body literally started glowing. This finally gives me an excuse to talk about FNAF lore on this channel because it's DBD related. Since I've been into FNAF for like 9 years at this point, I'm gonna do an overanalysis of Springtrap and DBD to figure out how lore accurate he is. I'll also take a look at the map while I'm at it, so let's get into it. We'll begin with Springtrap's visual/audio design, and I have to say straight away this might be the best design we've ever gotten for Springtrap in FNAF history. This is clearly based on Springtrap's design from FNAF 3, but I just want to show you the other ones we could have gotten to give you an idea of why I think it's so good. I won't be mentioning the oddball versions of Springtrap here, like Plush Trap, Glitch Trap, and the FNAF movie Springtrap, since these are technically completely different villains. But if you're curious about my thoughts, Glitch Trap and Yellow Rabbit are dope ideas as skins executed well, and Plush Trap should be a Chucky skin, don't at me. Now for the legit options, first we got Scrap Trap from FNAF 6, and I mean just look at that thing. I think this was Scott's attempt to make a human inside the suit seem plausible, but I mean come on bro, ain't nobody got a head that big. It feels like I could spray this dude with water and he would scurry away. The voice acting is solid from him at least when he jump scares you.
I always come back.
Then there's Burn Trap from Security Breach. This one is fine looking because it's similar to the FNAF 3 design, and I do actually like what they did with Addons' corpse in it. However, again we're getting to a point where it doesn't even look like a Springlock suit anymore. He's so destroyed, I just imagine this guy in a wheelchair constantly wherever he goes. Also, the FNAF creator, Scott Cawthon, said in an interview he wasn't ever supposed to move, so yeah, glad this one wasn't chosen either. Finally, we get to the FNAF 3 design. This was probably the best option in my opinion, as the whole game is literally dedicated to the character. You can tell how much detail is in it with all the little holes and the parts of Addons' corpse. Well, I say corpse, but compared to other models, it actually isn't much of a corpse at all, surprisingly. It's just his head with little meat bits sticking out. Comparing it to the DBD design, this is one of the reasons I think the DBD design is slightly better. You can tell there's actually a full-on corpse in it this time, and it's probably the reason he looks slightly bulkier too. I don't think I have to say why the pizza knife is very fitting either. They did this while staying extremely faithful to the original though, as he still has most of the same damaged parts. The missing part of his ear, the wire sticking out, and you can't forget about the meat feet. The backside is amazing too, as it actually shows the spring locks going into Addons' corpse. We never even got to see the backside of Springtrap in the FNAF series, funnily enough. My only nitpicks here would be that he's not quite as damaged as the FNAF 3 version, and the green color is a bit brighter than it probably should be. There's also the hands, which I found a little odd, as it almost seems like it's impossible for Addons' hand to fit in there. His corpse model legit doesn't have hands either to prove this fact. It's important to remember this animatronic was a springlock suit, so it should be possible for a person to fit their whole body, including their hands, in there. Other than those things, the visuals are spot on here, and I love this adaptation. I wanted to quickly talk about the audio design too, as getting this right is just as important. Now FNAF 3 does have some pretty quiet sounds when Springtrap moves around, but they aren't anything too crazy. Personally, I love the sound Springtrap makes in DBD when he rocks around a lot more. This, complemented by PJ Haywood's amazing voice acting here, is perfection.
The darkest pit of hell is open for business.
I've heard some complaints that Springtrap's lines in DBD are a bit too silly for the character, and to those people kids we say Boulder Dash. William Afton is the creator of a whole franchise based on kids entertainment, so it feels most fitting that he would have this goofy eccentric personality. That sneaky silent Springtrap in FNAF 3 isn't actually Scott's current vision for the character in my opinion, as personally I think it's more along the lines of what we see in FNAF 6. This murderous goofball that thinks way too highly of himself.
I knew it was a lie the moment I heard it, obviously. But it is intriguing nonetheless.
I love what they did with his music too. The main menu theme has this cool twisted arcade theme, and the chase music has this metallic animatronic feel. Other than that, there's also the visual/audio design of the power, but I think that'll be more fitting to talk about in this next section. Springtrap's power in DBD is pretty interesting, as it's a combination of a projectile/teleporting/stealth killer. You have an axe that you can lob at survivors to injure and jump scare them, and the ability to teleport through doors to give yourself stealth. Similar to Springtrap's lines, I've heard a lot of people say that Springtrap's power is not fitting at all for the character, and it's not a very unique nor interesting power. And to these people kids, we slap them in the face. Just kidding. As I will admit, even I kind of had these these feelings when I first played Springtrap on the PTB. My opinion has changed drastically over time though. Starting with the axe, visually it's a fire axe that seems to literally get created with fire. This we've never seen in the FNAF series at all, I don't think, but I have seen it in every Springtrap fan concept ever as his main weapon. To put it simply, I believe the axe is just a very fitting fan service. I think even Scott admitted himself how much the community made FNAF what it is, so I'm glad they went this route. This dude has also been set on fire multiple times, so I mean, why wouldn't he pick up a fire axe? I find it very fitting the way he throws it too, as it's not super precise like Huntress. It almost feels like he kind of just lobs it hoping it hits its target, which again feels fitting for his goofy character. The fact he can throw it over loops to hit survivors is epic too, and it's probably one of the most satisfying things ever in this game to do. There's also the whole jump scare mechanic with the axe. I don't think I even have to say why that's fitting. Part of me kind of wishes we got the FNAF 3 sound effect when he jump scares someone, but at the same time we may not have gotten the white man jump scare noise if that were the case. There's also the door teleport, which of course is very fitting lore-wise, with the series being known for those big doors. The office inside is also pretty neat, being a reference to the first 3 games. You also gain undetectable as soon as you exit a door, and I would say this is specifically a reference to Springtrap's sneaky ways in FNAF 3. The other aspect of his power is the camera survivors can use to reveal Springtrap, which is again a reference to the first 3 games where you use your cameras to find the animatronics. An additional theory I wanted to mention about the cameras here is that I honestly think the devs originally wanted survivors to go into the office to use the cameras. This is just a guess with the detail put into it and what we've seen in some trailers. This would have been really cool, but I'm guessing it wasn't done due to technical limitations. The final thing about the power I wanted to go over real quick is the add-ons and their lore relevance. Starting with the Browns, the greasy paper plate, restaurant menu, and rotten pizza are all simply a reference to how crappy Freddy's really was with its food. Just like the real life counterpart. The help wanted ad is likely a reference to the VR game called Help Wanted, and the fact that in the first 3 games, Michael Afton looks for employment at these places in the newspaper ads we see in-game. For greens, office phone and the security guard badge are again references to the first 3 games with the phone guy telling you what to do and playing as a security guard. Party hat and streamers are based on the common theme of parties throughout the series, and finally the rip curtain is said to be taken from Foxy's Pirate's Cove. Freddy's hat, Bonnie's guitar strings, Chica's bib, and Foxy's hook are the defining features of the cast of the first game. An important note about the Freddy's hat add-on here is that its description is the first confirmation in the entire series that Freddy was haunted by Gabriel, making the gravestones in Ultimate Custom Night more than likely a reference to FNAF 3's good ending. So the rest of those names are a lot easier to tell who haunted who. Purple Guy drawing is a reference to how William Afton was commonly betrayed throughout the series. Access Panel and Celebrate poster are based on features of the FNAF 1 office. Endo CPU is a bit of a weird one, but I'm guessing this could be a reference to Glitch Trap as he came to life because of transferring from a circuit board. Loot Bag I'm not sure is exactly a reference to anything, so I'm just gonna randomly guess it might be something from the books, because when in doubt, blame the books. One of the iridescents is the fast token, which is something we've seen in multiple FNAF games. It first appeared in FNAF 6 where you use it to playtest games, in Ultimate Custom Night they are used to buy power-ups, and finally in Help Wanted you can randomly collect them. Iridescent Remnant is an extremely interesting add-on, as it's pretty much what drives William Afton to do what he does throughout the series. It's described here as a molten metal, and is likely infused with the spirits of dead children. Once William Afton figured out this power of Remnant, it drove him insane trying to find out its potential. It's what causes all the animatronics, including Springtrap himself, to be alive after death. This add-on is actually the first time in the series we've seen Remnant visually, and it being described as molten metal is a pretty new concept too. It also describes it as being the key to immortality, which may be describing what William Afton was specifically trying to do with his Remnant testing we see in Sister Location and such. Finally, I wanted to quickly go over the new map we got with this chapter. It's basically a smaller and slightly different layout version of what we see in the FNAF movie, and I won't lie, I'm a bit disappointed here. The building only takes up like a quarter of the map, and the rest of it is just basic tiles. Still, the small section that we get is pretty good looking with a few fun references / Easter eggs. The main cool Easter eggs I like are the performance on the main stage if you do the generator, children laughter if you're in the bathroom, and a dead body in the ball pit likely being a reference to the books. Chica's cupcake also has a random chance to come out if you open a locker, and this is probably a reference to the movie where the cupcake attacks people and moves around on its own. Other than that, there honestly isn't a ton other than a reference to Torture Freddy and my poor boy Foxy being locked up. The devs have said they haven't forgotten about Foxy, so most people are predicting he's going to be a skin for someone in the future, probably Blight. I do like the look of the pizzeria overall, but still, as I said, it feels like they could have done more here. I think the reason this map didn't have a lot to it is because the devs were afraid of making a whole indoor map, as almost every indoor map has been hated by the community in the past because of it ruining the fun of a lot of killer powers. This would include Springtrap himself with the axe power, as indoor maps make it so you can't throw it over loops. Still, even with the route they went, I wish they did more, as it feels like they referenced the movie mainly with this map and not much else. They definitely could have gone gone with the FNAF 1 design with how small the map was. Some Golden Freddy references as well, maybe, with how important he was to the lore, and puppet references too. It just feels a bit plain, and compared to the references in other maps, it seems like FNAF got the short end of the stick. The rest of the map being plain kind of stinks too, as maybe they could have decorated the loops and shack with some FNAF stuff to make it stand out more. Enough complaining, I suppose I'm still glad we got a map at all. As the devs said themselves, maps are the hardest thing to make. That's going to conclude this video going over the FNAF chapter. Personally, I think this adaptation was pretty fantastic with the high expectations it had to meet. I'm glad they got Scott Cawthon himself on board to make sure this chapter turned out well, as who knows what we could have gotten otherwise. What do you think of this chapter? Feel free to let me know in the comments. Thank you all for the support as always, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Rock skull. All he wants to do is stream all night. Lobby full, rock skull. Never gonna play with me, but it's alright.